this margin of lead, we felt that we should give them that opportunity to also cast their ballot, and that was what we did. Unfortunately,
welcome back to the morning show here on Orange News. Joining us from our Abuja studio to speak about the Nigerian political economy with a special focus on energy is energy finance expert, public affairs analyst, and member of the People's Democratic Party, Dan Kunle. Welcome to the show, Mr. Dan Kunle.
Hello, Dan.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Morning, Ruben. And morning, my young lady. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Ruben, how are you? Welcome again after 22 days.
Yes.
22 days ago, we were here.
You were on this program. But let's start from where we left it off 22 days ago. At that time, we just had a few days to the PDP convention in Port Harcourt. You had made certain predictions. You even said that out of the contestants, the candidates, you thought that Vice President Atiku would be the one to emerge, and your prediction came to pass. But then subsequently, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar chose Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra, as his running mate. Now that again has generated a lot of controversy. What do you think of the choice of Peter Obi and the politics that has developed around his choice, particularly in the Southeast?
Oh, thank you very much. This issue of Peter Obi and all the side comments, it has triggered a lot of side comments. But let me clear one thing first and foremost. Peter Obi is one of the finest Nigeria you can ever find in contemporary Nigerian history. He is a very refined gentleman. Even though he's a native of Anambra and by tribe, Igbo, but you can see his sterling qualities. He has built capacity over the years, which he demonstrated when he was in Anambra as governor. And you can see his level of prudency and integrity. So that transcends already tribe. This is one thing that some of us are trying to build in this country. Let us build people,
and that's,
let's take people that their capacity transcends their tribe, and let's use them across the country.
Is that INEC was using Osun to manipulate that gubernatorial election.
He's an excellent guy.
And there were reports of the direct involvement of some INEC officials.
To me, he does not belong to the
Igbos anymore. One of the issues that the petitioner will bring up.
And in fact, he's a global citizen because his attributes and his contributions, his talents, he can use it locally within the Igbo community. But again, we need him at the national level now and even forward to the international level. So people who just say, oh, why Peter Obi, why Peter Obi? He is the best among the lots. Okay, there are many good people. So I'm not going to make a general statement. There are many good people from that part of the country. But as I said last time that we need this regional balancing because of the
INEC declared the election
the tripod.
Inconclusive.
So it's not good to ignore it
because
we have not developed fully.
The position
so it's
of
not
those
good
who
to ignore it. But
INEC is that INEC was using Osun to manipulate that gubernatorial election.
Gone there to choose
and there were reports of the direct involvement
of some. So I don't expect people to be making all these side comments. The side comments are not good. Okay, they are political. They are political, and some are mischievous. Some are very mischievous.
Well, some of the Igbo leaders,
but Peter Obi is the best.
Some of the Igbo leaders are saying that although they do not object to the choice of Peter Obi, but at the same time, they expected former Vice President Atiku Abubakar not to have chosen him unilaterally because there were other issues that they would have loved to negotiate. For example, positions that would be further assigned to the Southeast if the Atiku Obi ticket were to succeed. And then they wanted a commitment from the PDP candidate that if he were to win, he would do only one term. These were the issues they raised.
You see, Ruben, let us face one thing. When a small history, when President Obasanjo sat in this same Transcorp Hilton Hotel to choose Atiku Abubakar as his running mate, I remember that night we did not sleep. about 3 or 4 of us did not sleep because we felt President Obasanjo did not consult among certain people from the northern part of Nigeria. So I think the southeast we always come up, any region will always come up with this issue of, oh, we were not properly consulted with. But Atiku Abubakar, that I know very well, consulted with certain people before he made that announcement. He consulted with certain people before he made that announcement. And in any case, if there are 10 people that are qualified for a job, one will still have to get it. So, and he has reached out. I am very informed. He has reached out to all the leaders in the Southeast, and they have considered their ambition to the choice of Obi. I say it with all authority and sense of humility. He has reached out to all of them. Anyway. And Obi today is part and parcel of that leadership arrangement in the Southeast. Is now there. They have seen him now as their star.
Anyway, we'll come back to the presidential politics of the PDP. But on the APC side, the Minister of Works and Power and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, SAN, was in Ibadan recently at a forum organized by the Ministry of Information and National Orientation. And he told the stakeholders in Ibadan, Yoruba, that the Southwest will be better off voting for President Buhari. And that way, the presidency would come back to the Southwest in 2023. But there has also been a reaction from the Southeast, the Buhari support organization, saying that, look, it looks like the APC is trying to deceive them. If this is the mindset, then where does that leave the Southeast? What do you think of the intervention by Babatunde Fashola, SAN?
You see, Babatunde Fashola is somebody I respected very well because his 8 years tenure as governor in the Lake City of Lagos, was relatively speaking, was a successful tenure, 8 years. And the media helped him a great deal. He was, according to Bode George and according to what I could see in Lagos, because I'm a Lagosian also, I see he planted a lot of flowers, which is true. But for him to make statement like this, you know, Fashola, let me give you a brief history. Fashola's situation in APC today and the statement he made in Ibadan, let us dimension it in the Yoruba content. Okay, he tried to play a sentiment of a clannish sentiment, which, you know, from the way I used to rate Fashola, Mr. Fashola, I used to rate him as somebody that is very cosmopolitan, very urbane, and detribalized. Okay, but when I heard that he made that statement and I watched it again, I said, oh, he's playing political sentiment in the heart of the Yoruba land, Ibadan. So I can see his situation. But you see, you must go back a bit. You know, in 2015, President Buhari was tinkering with the idea of using Fashola as his running mate vice president because he won the heart of President Buhari during those early interactions. When President Buhari used to go to Lagos, all those interactions and engagement, he won the heart of President Buhari. So if it were not to be the sentiment of religion, Fashola would have been the vice president to President Buhari. Internally, within President Buhari, I know this psychologically, he preferred Fashola to be the running mate. But when they brought Professor Osibanjo's sterling qualities and qualifications now made everybody in that zone to just accept the situation quietly like that. But Fashola knew in his mind that President Buhari would have preferred him as vice president. So that is why if you watch the antecedent, you will see that Fashola was given 3 ministries. It's a promotion and it's an indication that he's now the prime minister of this country. But because we are running a presidential system of government, so there is no room for prime minister. But you can see they glorify him by giving him 3 ministries in one. Although, okay, we don't want to discuss about the failure of that now, okay, because to a large extent he has failed because it was a promotion that was too much for him. So I think today, the issue is that statement, for me, all the respect I used to have for Fashola, that statement made me to start interrogating that respect because I used to rate him as somebody that was very, very outstanding in terms of his opinion on national issues and even regional issues. So I think his statement about the presidency coming to Southwest, let me let you know, the Yorubas or the Omoluabis, the Oduduas are not looking for presidency in 2023. Let me tell you this. The Yorubas are looking for a restructured Nigeria that will allow all the federating unit to function appropriately and to deliver goods and services for the common good of the people of this country. The Yorubas are looking for a Nigeria that will be more liberal and economically viable. The Yorubas are not looking for power, political power, just for political power purposes. No. The Yorubas that I know and I have studied and I have related with the elders in Yoruba land are not looking for presidency for grandstanding sake. So if Fashola is talking or appealing to the Yorubas, I think he is doing it in the wrong. Place because the 2023 presidential arrangement, the Yorubas are not angling for it. The Yoruba wants to see a restructured Nigeria between now and 2023 that will allow them function and be more prosperous. And have a free and democratic egalitarian society. That is what the Yorubas are after. They are not after who become president. Anybody that is qualified and very good enough to run Nigeria, the Yorubas will support him. Well, so I don't believe in that statement. Fashola is somebody that he's very brilliant, very good, and I like him. But you see, the promotion he got, if I were him actually, when he was asked to come and be minister, he would have gone on sabbatical for 2 years. And go and rest. After 8 years, hectic years.
Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me?
On sabbatical for 2 years. Go and rest. And come back.
Are you hearing me? I want to cut in here.
Rested for 2 years. I'm ready to support you now for the remaining 2 years of your
Hello, can you hear me?
But he took the job. You can see
hello, can you hear me?
Setting. He took in a job of 3 ministries. You can see that he has not performed up to 50%.
I need to interrupt you here.
Many of the ministries, just evaluate them. He has not scored up to 50% in any of the 3 ministries he's heading. So for him to make this mischievous statement, I am disappointed. I am very disappointed.
Well, can you hear me? I need to ask you 2 follow-up questions very quickly. Please put back your earpiece. Can you hear me now? Hello, Kunle.
Now I can hear you.
You can hear me. Perfect. Now, 2 quick questions.
I can hear you.
2 quick questions. Are you saying that Fashola is not entitled to his opinion? 1. 2. Is it likely that there's some move, some calculation that when President Buhari leaves office, if he wins, if he gets a second term, that he will hand over to the Southwest? And maybe perhaps there's some underground negotiations that if he gets the support that he expects from the Southwest, that he will hand over to the Southwest. Have you heard something like that? Are you aware of any such calculation?
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Babatunde Fashola is entitled to his personal opinion the same way I am entitled to my personal opinion. You are very correct. I respect him a great deal. But you see, he triggered an issue that when you recalibrate that issue properly, you can give it different interpretations. Interpretation 1 is that he's playing a clannish politics, which we don't want now. And the Yorubas have transcended clannish outlook in Nigeria because the Yorubas are very, very rational and very objective people. They are very rational and objective. And they know the current configuration going on in this country. They know it's not their turn now to become president in 2023. They know this. But if Mr. Babatunde Fashola has a personal ambition to take over from President Buhari, his statement has further now exposed his own personal agenda. But in politics, all of us in politics are pursuing personal agenda. But our personal agenda should not override national interest. Never, never, never. Once your personal agenda overrides national interest, you become a primordial person. So I think what we should do is, thank you. Yeah. I think what we should do is to, let us do like this. Let us allow the matter to continue to generate the debate until maybe we get to a logical conclusion to make the Southwest to agree that they have reached a concession that they are not looking for the position of presidency in 2023, as long as rotational politics is concerned. If you take away rotational politics, anybody, any good qualified person can run for presidency of Nigeria at any time. So that is how I want us to address that matter. I still have a lot of respect for him, but this very statement has brought a lot of interrogation into his own, one, personal ambition, and two, the APC he represents.
Okay,
and
let's
thirdly,
leave.
Whom is he talking about in the Southwest? Yeah.
Let's leave BRF alone.
Southwest.
Let's leave BRF alone for a moment.
Yeah.
INEC has published a list of candidates for the presidency and the National Assembly. INEC has also received the budget, or rather, the National Assembly has approved the budget that INEC asked for. What's your assessment of INEC's level of preparedness?
Well, to the best of my ability to analyze INEC's achievements, so far so good. I think they have been fairly okay, because you see there are a lot of technical issues that INEC need to contend with. But so far so good. When I look at the whole list and I saw the way they tabulated it, I felt that they have deployed, to a large extent, appropriate technology and tools. And I think they are not doing badly. They are not doing badly. Apart from the colorations of some characters inside INEC, that if our Mr. President Buhari, for integrity's sake, anybody that is related to me, either by marriage or by in any way, I will not allow that person to work in INEC. If Mr. Atiku Abubakar become president today, none of his relation will work in INEC. I assure you this.
You are complaining about...
INEC is doing a good job.
I guess you are complaining about Mrs. Amina Zakari, the National Commissioner in charge of operations.
Perhaps that is the most pronounced name that we know about. So if our Mr. President to still prove that my integrity is still worth something in this country, I will say, okay, anybody that is related to me in INEC, out of that place, find another place to work.
Okay, let's move.
So is it compulsory that she must work in INEC? Is it compulsory that she must work in INEC?
Let me jump in here before Ruben continues. I want to take you back to the statements you made a couple of moments ago. You are assuring that if Atiku wins the presidency, none of his relation would work in INEC. We'll hold you to that. But my question really is, you have rated INEC so high moments ago. Why is it that your party still continues to express doubts about the competences of the electoral umpire ahead of this election?
Because, you see, let me tell you, there's an adage, there cannot be smoke without fire somewhere. You see, if you look at it from 2015 to date, just assess it properly. Professor Jega did a brilliant job. He was very independent. Very independent. Okay. But from 2015 to date, if you watch the coloration, the technical competency of INEC is one issue. The ICT infrastructure in INEC is one issue. I hope you understand me now. But the characters of human beings that are inside there is another thing. So if the characters of the human beings that are inside that neck, if they are not going to be holding their integrity in the highest arrangement we expect, then we have right to be suspicious. So that is why you see when characters like that and colors like that came up recurrently, we begin to say, okay, then if Mr. President is a man of integrity so much, then why can't he set aside this lady just by mere phone call? INEC chairman, please, can you find another assignment for this lady out of that place? So that without doubt the tension. So in Nigeria, you see any position you hold in Nigeria that you have too much discretionary power is a suspect.
Well, just for your information.
Take the underlying statement, discretionary power.
Well, just for your information.
So this is, yeah, thank you.
Just for your information, yesterday we had the spokesperson of the Independent National Electoral Commission on this program. And he made it clear that, the anxiety being expressed about the national commissioner in question is misplaced. That indeed she had conducted many other elections, including by-elections, successfully, over which nobody raised any dust. And in any case, she's qualified, she's a professional in her own right. But I'm not asking you to respond to that. Let's move away from politics. We'll return to it. You were a special advisor during the Obasanjo administration to the Minister of State in charge of petroleum and gas. I think that was Dr. Odushino. That was his name, right? Yeah. So you have some background.
Yes, please.
Yes, you have.
During President Umaru Yar'Adua.
Oh, it was during.
It was immediately after President Obasanjo left office.
Okay, it was under President Yar'Adua's administration. Now, I'd like you to comment on this gas pipeline that is being taken up north, the Ajaokuta-Kaduna-Kano project, otherwise known as AKK. The Minister of State Petroleum Resources once raised issues about this AKK project. Do you consider it, in your view, to be a white elephant project? Is it a white elephant project in your consideration, in your assessment?
Okay, thank you very much. Just to, during President Obasanjo regime, I was in the privatization agency. I was working with the Director General during President Obasanjo regime. And then immediately President Obasanjo left, President Umaru Yar'Adua appointed Dr. Tunde Odusina as the Minister of State in charge of gas in the Ministry of Energy. If you remember, we were doing reform. So the Ministry of Petroleum changed to Ministry of Energy under President Obasanjo. So when Umaru Yar'Adua came, he put 3 ministers in Ministry of Energy. Minister of State Oil, Minister of State Gas, Minister of State Power. Because the new ministry was Ministry of Energy as created by President Obasanjo. So I was working as STA with the Minister of Energy, Gas. And this project was started by President Obasanjo, this Ajaokuta, Abuja, Kaduna, Kano, AKK. But many people forget some economic history in this country. Gas pipeline was brought from Escravo to Oben. Oben was a junction where gas pipeline goes to Benin or Lagos, and from Oben to Agenebode to Ajaokuta. During MPN regime, gas pipeline had already reached Ajaokuta around 1983-84 for Ajaokuta Steel Complex. So when this gas pipeline was originally to go to Gwagwalada near Abuja for a urea ammonia plant, and it was going to go from there to Kaduna for another urea ammonia plant, that's fertilizer, for the agricultural support of northern Nigeria. Now, that project did not happen because when President Buhari became military head of state in 1984-85, all those projects were stopped. All was stopped. So Obasanjo came back and said, oh, let us find a way to energize the country. Energize country, that is, let's gasify Nigeria, gasification of Nigeria. So Obasanjo now said, okay, I will use what I have to get what I want. He took 2 oil blocks, offshore blocks, oil blocks, very good ones. The 2 offshore oil blocks are offshore Ondo, Lagos. He gave them to Korean National Oil Corporation, KNOC, and said, KNOC, come and develop these 2 oil blocks. These 2 oil blocks, they have a reserve of about, let me talk scientifically, estimated reserve of the 2 oil blocks must be in the range of about 6 billion barrels. So he now said, Korean National Oil Corporation, take these 2 oil blocks, develop it, and give me downstream project. I'm going to tie downstream project to these 2 oil blocks. And the project will be Ajaokuta, Abuja, Kaduna, Kano gas pipeline. And I want you to put 2 power plants, one in Abuja, that is Gwagwalada, and one in Kaduna, Mando. If people who know the geography of this country like me, they know where Gwagwalada is, they know where Mando is. Mando is a place you pass through when you are coming from Kaduna Airport. So he now said, put these 2 power plants near the gas pipeline. So then Korea National Oil Corporation now came with a consortium of Korea Electricity Power Corporation, KEPCO, and POSCO. POSCO used to be the 3rd largest steel company in the world. You can Google it, POSCO of Korea. So now these 3, POSCO was to do the pipes in Ajaokuta. They were going to put a pipe mill in Ajaokuta. This is part of the problem of leadership in this country. When leadership change, everything will just
be discarded. INEC declared the election.
So Obasanjo concluded all these things. And POSCO, KEPCO, and KNOC, they had already put a study together
inconclusive.
To do AKK.
And that,
it was the downstream component.
The position of those who criticize INEC is that INEC was used in Osun to manipulate that gubernatorial election. And there were reports of the direct involvement of some INEC.
The old one that was built during MPN regime. So there was a 36-inch gas pipeline coming from Obeng to Ajaokuta, which was completed when I was in office. The job was still ongoing when I was in the Ministry of Energy Gas. So, but today I think it has been completed. So that is the leg to Ajaokuta. So now to move gas from Ajaokuta to the interland, to upland. So KEPCO was to do it. But the short and short of it was that there was a petition, personal interest came in. There was a petition in 2008 to President Umaru Yar'Adua by a group of Nigerians who claimed that the 2 oil blocks were supposed to have gone to their own group with their technical partner from India. And they now petition, and Henry Ajomogobia was the Minister of State Petroleum. So the way they handled that petition, till today as I'm talking to you, this project is stranded. 60% of the oil block is in the hand of KNOC. I think they are in Supreme Court. 30% was in the hand of another company. That company pulled out and looked for his refund of the signature bonus they paid to DPR. Till as we are talking, I don't know who is warehousing the 30% of the 2 oil blocks. I think it's also stranded. This 30% is stranded. So 10% are in the hand of the local content vehicle. So now, suddenly I saw that NNPC wants to do AKK. They want to do gas pipeline from Ajaokuta to Kano. Where is the foundation? Where will the gas that will go into the AKK, where will it come from? Then what will be the capital cost of this project? I read in the newspaper and I reacted sometimes last year and this year that, okay, if you are going to use $2.8 billion to build a gas pipeline of about 600 kilometers, let's say from Ajaokuta to Kano, even say 700 kilometers, 2.8 billion.
I would like to cut in here. I would like to cut in here. Yeah, I asked you earlier whether you consider it a white elephant project. And that's because there are some other Nigerians who are saying, look, the AKK project in the first place was misconceived because there are no off-takers up north. You have a situation where there are off-takers in the south, where you have the NLNG. NLNG is working on Train 7. There are industries. There are, projects in the south with people saying gas supply is a problem. And then you want to take whatever is available and take it to the north where there are no off-takers. What's your reaction to that?
Thank you very much. I am of the same school of thought that Nigeria, we refuse to use our brain properly. If you do comparative and competitive analysis of what you have in certain regions of Nigeria or in certain locations of Nigeria, the entire Niger Delta province is full of gas. 187 trillion cubic feet of gas, proven. And if this is so, then why don't you take a competitive advantage of what you have in that zone? Build industry around it and use the gas appropriately. Since it's by the coast, you can build additional 2 or 3 LNG, which was the reason why Brass LNG was proposed. Train 7 was to go on stream, but now they are late. And OK LNG was to go on stream. These 3 projects are late. Train 7 is late. Brass LNG is dragging. OK LNG is in the fridge, is in the cooler. So now, if you use your comparative and competitive analysis properly as a nation, do I need to transfer gas on pipeline over 1,000 kilometers away? No. I will produce what gas can be used to produce cheaply where gas is available and send the finished product to where it is needed in Nigeria. That is economic rationality. Because look at our history. We built steel rolling mill in Katsina. We built steel rolling mill in Jos. We built out of emotion and sentiment. And there are no steel raw material. Iron was not available in all those places sufficiently. So now you have to truck billets from Ajaokuta or Delta Steel all along to Jos, to Ajaokuta, to Katsina. So those plants never work. We never got return on investment on those plants. The capital investment, we lost it. The Kaduna refinery was built on that same sentiment. Today, do you know Kaduna refinery was built on what we call mixed crude? You are going to bring heavy crude from Venezuela or from Basra in Iraq and add it to our crude in Escravos and bring it to Kaduna by pipe. Today, Kaduna refinery has never worked. It has never worked. The capital investment in Kaduna refinery lost. We attempted to privatize it. It was frustrated. We already sold Kaduna refinery and Porako refinery to Dangote and Femi Otedola, but it was, again, out of emotion and sentiment. It was cancelled in 2007, 2008. If you remember, their money was refunded to them. Now, if you want to move gas over this distance, when even Geregu power plant, we have Geregu power plant 1, Geregu power plant 2 in Ajaokuta, where there is even gas pipeline in Ajaokuta Steel Complex. They don't have sufficient gas. As we are talking, I will always refer to Babatunde Fashola. He is sitting on about 10 power plants in Calabar, in Edo State, Ihobo, in part of Imo, Abia. We are sitting on 10 power plants built by federal government. This project was started by Obasanjo. They have not enough gas. As we are talking now, the Gencos in Nigeria that are on gas are saying they have to shut down. So they have reduced capacity now because there is no sufficient gas. Gas is not just about volume. It's also about quality of gas that is arriving at your power plant. So if Nigeria is sitting on gas in the Niger Delta province, and they don't even have sufficient gas to power all the electricity plant there and the industries there. Okay. So how are you now going to build pipeline over another additional 700 kilometers to somewhere when you are not even serving, you are not producing enough gas and feeding enough gas to the power plants around that province? And the social license you need to allow free investment in that area, you still have not secured it. Till today, Nigeria don't have free social license to operate in the Niger Delta area. So if you have not even secured that social license, which guarantee do you have to give to any investor
Well, I get your point.
Or go to Kano.
I get your point.
Or go to Abuja, or even go to my hometown in
hold on,
to invest money in gas-based industry.
Hold on. I get your point about the AKK and the priority, they need to have the right priorities. But will you say the same about what the federal government has been doing over the years in the Sokoto Basin, in the Lake Chad Basin, looking for oil and investing a lot of resources?
Thank you very much, Ruben. You see, I strategically advised government in 2007-2008 that we should take away our inland basins as strategic assets, keep them in national security office, and do a proper seismic and geotechnical study of our inland basins. From Abejukolo in Kogi State to Lake Chad on River Benue Trough, there are likely to be a lot of occurrences of hydrocarbon. And if you take the veil from Chad Basin and you enter Chad Republic, it goes like that to Sudan, to Uganda. If you take it again from the border of Nigeria in Borno and Yobe, you take it inside Niger Republic, you see hydrocarbon occurrences like that, which extend like that to Algeria. So if you go to Sokoto Basin, you come down to Bida Basin, then to Dahomey Basin. Dahomey Basin starts from Benin Republic to our Edo State today. That's Dahomey Basin. So if you take all the internal basins, the inland basins, and you securitize them, you put them in the National Security Advisor Office, and you ask the American or the Chinese to do a proper geotechnical study for you, seismic, and you now evaluate what are the reserves, how young are these basins. These basins, some of the sedimentation in all these basins, they are still very young in age, because you see, oil occurrences, hydrocarbon is not occurrences of 1 year. Some of them 1 million years, 2 million years. So you need to know the age of these basins and begin to say, okay, what will be the volumetric analysis. So we seem to have been sinking money wrongly. We have not done the right thing scientifically. And I believe Atiku Abubakar will do the right thing.
Mr. Dankole, let me ask you.
Don't let me forget to mention that.
Let me ask you this. I'm taking you back to the AKK because the NNPC is so confident that this is economical, this is timely, and that with the PPP funding, it is viable. But you are saying this should not even be. They say that this will connect the northwest south with gas, industries will spring up, employment will increase. But you're saying that this is a wrong priority. What would you be telling the NNPC to do instead?
They should show us the numbers, madam. We want to see the econometrics. Where are the numbers? The tariff, the capital cost, the cost of funding. They should show it. Who is going to fund the project? Where will the funding come from? LLNG Train 7, they are still looking for funding from the 49% owner, which is NNPC.
Well, you mentioned former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. If he were to be appointed advisor on the energy sector, in the event of an Atiku Abubakar presidency, what kind of advice will you be giving him?
I will give him qualitative advice based on scientific and empirical findings. Advice that we create competitiveness. I will give him advice that we create a competitive oil and gas sector for Nigeria.
No, I mean in specific terms.
Our oil and gas sector is not competitive.
I mean in specific terms. What will you want the government to do? Do this, do this, do that. These are areas of necessary intervention.
We will unbundle NNPC. We will unbundle NNPC before NNPC kill Nigeria. We will unbundle the oil and gas sector. We will reform it. We will unbundle it.
Well, aren't those issues?
We will reform it. We will privatize it.
Aren't those issues already covered?
We will rejig BP. We will rejig the privatization agency to do their job properly.
Well,
so we will reform the oil and gas sector.
Well, but those issues, are they not already covered by the Petroleum Industry Governance Bill and the associated bills?
It's part of the reform. It's a reform instrument. That law, that Petroleum Industry Bill is a reform instrument. Once you pass it and it's signed to law, then BP can now have an instrument a bigger instrument to do the work. At the moment, the law at their disposal in the privatization agency is also still useful enough. But I'm sorry, nothing is happening.
Well, I mean, it's good you mentioned the NNPC. Only yesterday, NATI, the Nigeria Extractive Industry Initiative, complained about under-recovery from the IOCs, from NNPC. What do you think is responsible for this? And how do we get, NNPC to make proper remittances and move away from a regime that seems opaque?
Well, Ruben, whatever name they call it, under recovery or whatever, it's because some people are allergic to the word subsidy. When you buy a product for 10 naira and you are selling it for 5 naira, so the difference, it's a simple arithmetic. Who pays for the difference? So we are sending our crude out, we are buying refined products, and we are selling it at a loss. So the Emir Sanusi Lamido said the subsidy gap is close to 2 trillion naira now. So that will have been good enough to fund education and health in this country. But the masses that we claim we are protecting, to me, this subsidy or under recoveries program is a fraud. Because you cannot continue. Since 1973, that equalization fund was set up. To date, we have continued to just play about with words, subsidy management, under recovery. Even see the oil marketers. The under recovery, they posted in their credit 600 billion. It's in the Ministry of Finance. It has not been paid to them since 2015. This was verified, certified, and agreed. If you add that to the current subsidy regime that NNPC is running, which is not clearly known to all of us, which we want to know, they must bring out the numbers. So we are talking in excess of 2 trillion already. So where do you post all these things? The same deficit and gap you are having in the electricity industry is close to 1.5 trillion now. So when you add up all these deficits, just industry sector deficit alone, these are the electricity industry sector deficit. And you now have oil and gas industry deficit in the downstream sector. That's the PMS subsidy. When you add them together, you are talking of almost 4 trillion. 4 trillion naira deficit from just 2 sectors of the economy.
Mr. Dankole, in your own opinion,
yeah.
Let me ask you, why do you think that the NNPC has remained this huge masquerade that everybody seems to dance around and there's no solution? We talk about unbundling the NNPC. Is that really the solution?
Because it's a monster. NNPC is a monster. It's a monster that must be dealt with scientifically. We have cases in the world where national oil companies have done very well. We have cases, Malaysia, Pertamina in Indonesia. Even go to United Arab Emirates here, go to Abu Dhabi, the National Oil Corporation of Abu Dhabi. Go and see what they have done. So I don't want to talk about Brazil, Petrobras, because of certain problems there. So why will NNPC remain the same all these years? And we have not gotten any positive result from there. And people still believe status quo has to remain. If you have been doing something wrong since 1973 to date, and you still see that thing is right, it's time we question ourselves. Well, we don't have the luxury of time anymore.
Now, Kunle, before we let you go.
NNPC is a monster.
Well, let me say something Let me say something in defense of the NNPC, or well, maybe not in defense, but just to offer information. The NNPC insists that we import about 60 million liters of finished product, right? And then that the NNPC also pays a lot of subsidy. And with that kind of situation, they really cannot be accused of not making enough remittances, because the revenue goes to, you know, some of these issues that they have to take care of. What do you think?
You see, Ruben, it's good. You and me, Ruben, you are well educated. You are appropriately suitable to work anywhere in the world, except maybe language barrier. You and me, Ruben, in this analytical age, why will NNPC just wake up and say we are consuming 50 million liters of petrol? From when Dr. Kunle was in PPRA, what was the total we were consuming? 32 million liters per day. Why can't Nigeria, can't we get the statistics of all the vehicles on the road in this country? Is it 12 million? Is it 15 million vehicles? And all the heavy equipment that are working in various construction sites in Nigeria that consume petrol or diesel. So all the motorbikes, can't we take the scientific sensors of all the moving vehicles in this country that consume petrol and do the average? What is the average they consume per day? So why will NNPC just tell me as an educated person, well exposed, well traveled, that, oh, we take 60 million liters per day? I will ask him, how many vehicles? What is the economy of Nigeria? Which economy is running 50 million liters per day? This economy that is sterile and sleeping. So we need to interrogate those figures. They should give us a scientific figure. Let us do, these are the things we are going to do. We should go down to basic science. Take census of how many vehicles are on the road in this country. How many liters do they consume? Don't just come and tell me 50 million liters. How did you arrive at 50 million liters? So why are you not keeping Port Harcourt refinery and Warri refinery that are by the crude production to work at full capacity? In 3.5 years, these refineries have not worked. You remember I wrote a memo. May, June last year, 2017, in respect of the statement of Dr. Akachukwu, Dr. Kachukwu of NNPC, the Minister of Petroleum, when he was talking from left to right of his mouth about Port Harcourt refinery being concession. Till today, did you hear anything anymore? Even now, they should tell us the status of Port Harcourt refinery. Because people familiar with that case now are saying they have given it to a group to rehabilitate. It will be ready in 2019. How? How? So these are the problems. We want to know the exact quantity. We must go back to the basic. How many vehicles are on the road in this country? What is the liter they consume per day?
Well, thank you very much.
Federal Office of Statistics to engage. We must be scientific in what we are doing. That is why we are running like blind people.
Well,
we are running like blind people as a country. It's time for us to inject agility in NNPC, reform the place.
Well, thank you very much.
That place.
Thank you very much, Dan Kunle. We'll have to let you go now.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for honoring our invitation to appear on the morning show. It's time now for a short break.